Put your hands in the air. Do not move. Welcome back to the Wikipedia podcast, ladies, gents, Pikachus, and criminals who also watch this podcast, is what I've learned. And that's kind of the subject of today. We're talking about the crime wave, the Christmas crime wave we're going to see. Bearing in mind we've got lots of badly behaved, immature people on the prowl with no money, looking to take your stuff. Now, seeing as how heavily brainwashed these people are, in the majority, they need a vehicle in order to make attacking you with criminality into a moral crusade. They need to feel good and righteous about it, so that when they're lying and covering their tracks later, they don't have to feel too bad, at least on the surface. Deep below the surface, they know. Deep down they know, and it comes out in their behaviour. If you're sly, if you're smart, and you know what you're looking for. Thing is though, that makes it all the more frustrating when you can't produce admissible evidence to the police or your landlord or whoever the authority is that you have to stand beside, or in sometimes you have to stand behind. When they don't do anything, they prevent you from doing anything. So you can see all the ingredients are there for this crime wave to happen. And you've got things like Russell Brand in the news to distract everyone. Everyone's busy talking about that and not talking about how they were going to traverse their own life in the coming months and probably into the new year. Now, if you think about it, a lot of these people are already criminals. And they're not just stealing from good folks like you and I, they're stealing off each other as well a lot of the time. And these are vengeful, spiteful people. They are not going to let anything go. They will much rather go out and commit crimes against someone and then restyle it as a righteous moral crusade, as if, the same way they will do when they call someone a rapist who isn't, or when they steal something and, they want to cover it up. It was like that lady in the news the other day. I can't remember her name. She went into a shop, made some excuse about she wanted to return an item, even though she wasn't going to get a refund, wasn't entitled to one, and proceeded to try and steal from the shop and cause a scene, and called racism. And she didn't even have an economic imperative. It wasn't like she needed the money or the clothing at all. She just wanted the stuff. And as we've seen, there's no investigation. There's no detection. There's no will in the police officer to catch a criminal. You literally have to do the work for them and bring your evidence that you have gained yourself to them. You have to do the work for them, and then you have to convince them to actually take the evidence, which is, it's almost like a court case in itself to get that done. So, I ask you, why am I telling you all this? Why is it important for you to know this? Well, aside from being a possible victim of crime yourself, that's going to be most people. Like I said, there's criminals that watch this podcast, so I guess half of this message is going out to you, Mr. Criminal, who's thinking about behaving badly over Christmas, stealing and breaking things, or being a pain in the arse. And I will say this to you. What is to stop people picking up on your tactic that you're using to successfully get away with crime and just doing that to you? Like with my neighbour that threw an egg at my door. What's to stop me waiting with a box of eggs inside my door until he goes in his door, and then opening my door and flinging every single egg at him into his house, and then shutting my door and locking it and calling the police and saying that he had shouted at me because someone threw eggs at him, but I knew nothing about it, and he wouldn't be able to produce any evidence. But it wouldn't end the problem, would it? It just escalates it one notch. So then you're playing a game. It's like an arms race. Who's the next notch? What's the next notch? And where does it end? And I'll tell you where it ends. It doesn't end in a fist fight. Nobody cares about fist fighting. It ends with one guy in a body bag and the other guy in a prison cell. Yes, one guy dead and one guy might as well be dead. His life is over. So that's my appeal to you, Mr. Criminal, is really think about what you're doing. Is it worth a piece of petty revenge for something which, in all honesty, you don't care about and didn't really bother you, and the person didn't do, or if they did, they didn't know they did it? Is it worth potentially killing someone or being killed yourself, and the other person, if they survive, potentially spending the rest of their life in a prison cell, and then when you come out, nobody's gonna remember or care about any of the details. All they're going to know is you just came out of prison for murder, and the person you murdered has been dead for 12 years or 15 years or however long you get. But you think, well, I'm not going to do that, I'm not a murderer, I'll keep my crime to a limited level. That's what they all say, we all think that. I thought that myself when I was like you. Well, I wasn't exactly like you, I was 10 and I was kind of a naughty boy, remonstrating against my teachers and my parents. I never actually committed any crimes, but I certainly threw some eggs. But the point remains, if I behaved like that now as an adult, and it wasn't my parents, let's say I did that to a complete stranger and they attacked me and killed me on the spot and produced a weapon or something, it doesn't matter what happens past that point. I'm dead, I'm not there to see it. And it goes even further than that with someone who's a repeat offender. If someone's committing crimes against you every day and harassing you and they can't be reasoned with, and you have approached the police and that's failed, at some point you're going to be forced to take matters into your own hands. And at that point it's a roll of the dice for you both. At that point it doesn't matter who the tough guy is, because it's weapon combat. It just takes one swipe and you are done. One swipe could take you both out. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to get away with little crappy children's crimes, throwing eggs and swearing, pushing people, stealing things? I just don't see how it is. It's completely stupid. Only a stupid person would do that. So hear that, Mr. Criminal. If you're not stupid, don't behave like a stupid person and do those things, or carry on doing those things. And for everybody else, the majority of people, the ladies, gents and Pikachus that I like, who don't commit crimes, harass people, who aren't bigots, who do have good souls and behaviours, this is for you. What you need to do is come down like a ton of bricks on these people. If they do anything at all to you, immediately report them in great detail, make as much evidence as you can, within the bounds of the law. Don't be tempted or baited out into stupidity. Like I said before, they'll bring you down to their level, and then they'll beat you with experience as a fool in full-to-full combat. You will not win that one. So you have to draw them into legitimate persons combat, which is not fighting. That is reporting people, though it's a bit kind of, bit of a punch to your ego to have to constantly do that and clean stuff up on your property or replace broken things and pay more insurance. It's a climb down. It feels like a climb down. Of course it does. And your adrenaline rushes and your natural reaction is, I'm going to rush over there now and throttle him. You know, the next time he pushes me, I know that he's left-handed, that the left hook's coming in, I'll immediately parry that and I'll thumb his right eye, knee him in the nuts, drag him down to the floor. You know, it's how far does it go? I have to kill him to make sure he doesn't come back to me, and I don't want to have to do that. But on the same hand, I'm expecting him to feel the same way, so maybe I'm going to have to draw that out of him, and then he will die. He thinks the reason I don't retaliate is because I'm like afraid of him or something. He doesn't understand the moral imperative of being a mature adult in a society that's a democracy that's based on Christianity, and that's what we live in. That's what we are, my friend. Well, it's what we should be. You're not at the moment, but I think I can see it in your face. You're guilty, and the lies you come out with in defense of yourself prove deep down inside you're guilty about this. You know you're wrong. So I put it to you, why do it? Why inflict that kind of thing on good people? I've never been nasty or horrible or done anything wrong to my neighbour. I've never once retaliated against anything he's done to me. But I do expect that he's going to carry on this silly crusade until he gets banged up. So however long that takes is how long it's going to take. And he's lucky. The reason I'm committing this to video so confidently is because I know for a fact I'm going to avoid a conflict with this guy so that I don't have to endanger his life. And even though he doesn't deserve that mercy, certainly not from me, it's out of my hands. I'm commanded by God. It doesn't matter how I feel. You do not kill your brothers. Ever. I take that very, very seriously. So yeah, I could push his eyes through his skull and blind him. As long as he didn't die, it's fine. I'll take the punishment, I'll come out, life will be better for me. But is it moral? Is it right? That would make me a criminal, even if I were to get away with it. Leave no evidence. There'd be no witness, would there? But anyway, I still wouldn't do it because God is my witness and he would know and it would affect my life. I fully believe that. So that's the end of this video, ladies, gents, Pikachus and criminals. Please consider all that I've said, especially coming up to Christmas, when people have the least amount of patience and time and money And they're too concerned about their family or maybe being alone. Being lonely over Christmas is horrible too. But just think, these are not good excuses. They're not good reasons to go out and attack people or steal or, commit crimes. And they will just worsen your problems. So that's the conclusion. If you want to be happy and not lonely over Christmas, don't encourage bad behaviour in other people by committing crimes against them. Don't, out of spite, revenge other people who might not have even realised that they've stepped on your toe. Just think for the future. You're going to have to explain everything you do, and so will they. You don't want to have to lie and look guilty to cover your tracks. And then live like a criminal with cameras all over your front door, looking over your shoulder, constantly worrying and constantly in a rage. It's a miserable life. Whereas guys like me, even at the end of this crime campaign, you never see me have a miserable day. I'll have a little half an hour shout over the phone to the police, and then my day carries on. It's fine. So, I hope you enjoyed that, and it's given you a kind of an imperative to be pleased despite the coming crime wave, and to be steely. Don't add to the problem. You're smart. You don't need to do that. You're a strategist. You're thinking for your own future here. You're doing yourself the biggest favour you can do. So, let's look forward to that. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.